There is a particular kind of silence that settles into a house once the noise of a long life finally fades away. It is not just the absence of sound. No, it is a heavy, echoing stillness. It makes you confront parts of yourself that you have kept hidden for decades. With age, you begin to understand a terrifying truth. The young cannot grasp it yet. We spend our entire lives building foundations, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, only to realize that a single signature, a single moment of weakness, born from loneliness, can bring it all crashing down. There are secrets we keep even from our own children, not out of shame, but out of a desperate need to protect the person we have finally become in the winter of our lives. I called off that wedding. The invitations had been sent. The dress was hanging in my closet. The deposits were all paid. I walked away from it all, and the whispers followed me like a cold draft. People called me bitter. They said my grief was clouding my judgment. They told me I would regret dying alone in this big house. But there is a side to remarriage after 60 that nobody discusses at Sunday brunch. There are 5 brutal realities, 5 gambles. I want to tell you my story because I almost learned these lessons the hard way. Richard died on a Tuesday morning, one of those bright, clear California days. It was quick, a heart attack. Everyone says that is the kind of death they want, but for those left behind, the suddenness is a trauma all its own. For the first month I was on autopilot, paperwork, casseroles, but when the visitors stopped coming, the silence became deafening. At 71, I was a stranger to my own company. The loneliness was physical. It felt like a weight on my chest, making it hard to take a full breath at night. That was when the suggestions started. My daughter Linda would say, "Mom, you shouldn't be alone." My son David told me Dad would want me to be happy. Everyone had an opinion on my solitude, and slowly, I began to believe them. I thought living alone was a sign of failure. I thought I was being strong by looking for someone new. I didn't realize I was running away. Then I met Walter. He was 78, a widower. He was polite, stable. He reminded me of Richard. We had coffee, then dinners. He talked about a future where neither of us had to face the evening shadows alone. 6 months after I lost Richard, Walter proposed. It wasn't a movie scene, it was practical. Take care of each other. That phrase felt like a warm blanket. I said yes because I was tired. But as the date drew closer, a nagging feeling started to grow. Right here, in the pit of my stomach. 2 weeks before the wedding, my friend Helen took me for a walk. She told me about her sister Sarah. That was the first crack in the illusion. Financial annihilation, that was the first reason. Helen's sister Sarah remarried a respectable man, but 8 months in, she found the bills. Late-night calls from creditors, $40,000 in credit card debt, massive medical bills. And once they were married, Sarah was legally responsible. Her retirement savings, 40 years of work, began to drain away. Her credit score plummeted. She had to take a reverse mortgage on her own home, just to keep the lights on. Everything she built with her first husband, gone. Sarah came to her house sobbing. She thought love would protect her. I felt a chill go down my spine. I realized I knew nothing about Walter's bank statements. I had been blinded by the idea of safety. I tried to bring up finances with Walter. His reaction was immediate, defensive. He said partners shouldn't keep secrets, but then said what's mine is yours. I saw a financial advisor instead. She was blunt. She said a second marriage after 60 is the single greatest financial risk a woman can take. She showed me cases, women in their 70s forced back to work because of a new husband's debts. She told me about women who lost their homes to their new husband's children, contesting the will. It was a wake-up call. I looked at my house. Richard and I paid it off over 30 years. Every corner had a memory. If I married Walter, I was putting a target on that security. I was gambling with the roof over my head, just for someone to watch television with. But I wasn't ready to break his heart yet. I thought we could just keep money separate. I didn't understand the second reason, the loss of self. I noticed I was already changing. I canceled my yoga because he wanted breakfast. I stopped seeing friends he found too loud. I was making myself smaller, just like I had done for 5 decades. It was an automatic reflex. One morning I realized I had stopped doing the small things. I liked eating dinner at 9 o'clock. I liked reading until 2 in the morning. These were tiny freedoms, but they were mine. My friend Dorothy confirmed it. She looked exhausted. She told me she felt like she was 35 again, having to justify her every move. Dorothy felt guilty because her husband was a good man, but a good man can still take up all the air in the room. I had spent 46 years as Richard's wife. I had only spent a few months as Moren. Did I really want to give up my autonomy? I realized the companionship I craved came with a price tag of self-erasure. I started writing. I called it the Freedom Code. My son David hates it. He thinks it makes the family look bad. But I've received letters from women everywhere. Alice from Georgia wrote to me. She was engaged at 68 and felt a knot in her stomach. She read my words and realized she was marrying out of obligation, not love. She called off her wedding. She said the relief was like being able to breathe underwater. But the pressure from my own family, that was the hardest hurdle. The third reason, the realization that my remarriage would change my children's legacy. Linda took me to lunch. She asked me what would happen to the house. I got defensive, but she pointed out the legal reality. In California, marriage creates community property. If something happened to me, Walter would have a legal claim to the home Richard intended for our children. Linda was scared of losing me to a stranger. I went to an estate attorney. He confirmed it. A second husband's rights often supersede the wishes in a will. Families torn apart in court. I realized I was potentially disinheriting my own children for a man I had known for less than a year. The attorney told me about a case where 2 sons lost their childhood home to a second husband. They lost their mother, and then they lost their peace. I thought about my grandchildren. Marrying Walter wasn't just a personal choice. It was a choice for the next 2 generations. The scale was tipping away from the altar. Then there was the fourth reason, my neighbor Ruth. She remarried Frank. They were happy for 2 years. Then Frank was diagnosed with a degenerative condition. Suddenly, Ruth was a full-time caregiver. Again, I saw her at the store. She looked like a ghost. Ruth felt resentful. She thought her 70s would be her time to rest. Instead, she was a nurse for a man she hadn't known in her youth. Statistically, it is almost always the woman who becomes the caregiver. We are socialized for it, but we rarely receive it. I had to ask myself, am I ready to be a nurse again? It sounds selfish, but at 71, time is my most precious resource. Taking care of each other usually means the woman taking care of the man. I saw the exhaustion in Ruth's eyes, and I knew I couldn't ignore it. Then came the fifth and final reason, the one that broke the spell. I sat in my garden, watching the sunset. I asked myself, why? The answer wasn't love. It was fear. I was doing it because society says being alone is a tragedy. I was marrying Walter because I was afraid of the dark. I had spent 71 years living for other people, parents, Richard, children. I had never once lived just for Moren. I actually liked the quiet. I liked not compromising. I realized that independence isn't a lonely island. It's a vast, open sea. I didn't need a marriage license to have a friend, but when I suggested this to Walter, he was insulted. He wanted the structure. He wanted the assets. He didn't want Moren. He wanted the role I could play. The knot in my stomach finally let go. I knew what I had to do. I called him over. I told him I couldn't go through with it. I needed to be alone. He was furious. He told me I was wasting his time. He slammed the door. For a moment, the silence felt cold, but then a sense of lightness washed over me. I wasn't grieving. I was free. The fallout was difficult. My sister thought I lost my mind, but I stood my ground. I joined a hiking group. I took art classes. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. My relationships became deeper because I wasn't filtering them through a husband. I think about the women who didn't call it off. I don't judge them. The pressure is immense. But I want them to know it is okay to choose yourself. Your peace of mind is worth more than the status of being married. There is beauty in the solitude of your 70s. Loneliness is a feeling that passes, but the loss of independence is a permanent change. You are whole, exactly as you are. My book still ruffles feathers. David still complains. But I don't care. If my story helps one woman pause, then it is worth the discomfort. We are the glue that holds everyone together. It is time we learn to hold ourselves together first. I am still here in San Diego. My house is quiet, but it is a warm, living quiet. I am not a bitter woman. I am a free woman. I have learned that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself in the quiet moments of the night. I hope you take these words to heart. Your life is yours to live. What do you think? Have you ever felt that pressure? Write your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your stories. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are enough.